Hello students, my name is Dr. Alice Mani. I will be imparting lessons on Business Law, course 306. I am the resource person for Mahatma Gandhi National Council of Rural Education. This is part of the BBA Rural Management course. This unit, that is chapter 4, is titled Consumer Protection Act 2019. And this will be covered as 4 video lessons. The first video lesson will look at the basic features of the Consumer Protection Act 2019 and the rights of consumers. The second video lesson will cover Consumer Protection Council Rules 2020 and mediation proceedings. The third video lesson will cover the Consumer Redressal Mechanism. The fourth video lesson will discuss the Central Consumer Protection Authority, or we call it as CCPA. We will cover the third video lesson of the fourth unit, which is Consumer Complaint Redressal Mechanism, in this video lesson. So let us go ahead and understand the topic in details. I have structured this lesson in the following way. This lesson will cover 2 broad topics. The first will be the Consumer Complaint Redressal Mechanism. And the second lesson is the comparison between Consumer Protection Act 1986 and Consumer Protection Act 2019. First module objective is to understand the procedure of Consumer Redressal Mechanism. The second objective is to compare the Consumer Protection Act 1986 and 2019. This will help you to learn the procedures for filing complaints for consumer grievances. Also, the comparison of old and new Consumer Protection Acts will give you the details about how the new bill is framed as per the changing circumstances. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to understand the basic structure of Consumer Redressal Mechanism and the comparison of old and new Consumer Protection Acts. Thus, you will get the information about the options available for redressal in case of complaints with regard to any item purchased or any service availed. This will be helpful for those who will become entrepreneurs in future or to understand the basic legal implications as consumers. Also to understand and enjoy the privileges provided by the new Consumer Protection Act 2019. Moreover, the knowledge about the rights of a consumer will guide us in entering the right transactions and not to get cheated either in the online or offline mode of purchase. So let us understand this topic in details. To protect consumer rights, the new Consumer Protection Act constituted the establishment of 3 redressal mechanisms, namely district, state and national commissions. Consumers can approach these commissions to address their grievances. The structure of these redressal agencies is already explained in the last video lesson. So let us discuss the eligibility criteria to file complaints in these 3 redressal agencies. Now, let us look at the eligibility criteria to file a case with the District Commission. A consumer or consumer association or consumers jointly as more than one consumer, they can fight for their common interest and they can file a case with the District Commission. For example, Taxi Drivers Union, Doctors Association, Engineers Association, Dentist Association, etc. Once the application is received, the Commission will accept or reject the application within 21 days of receiving the complaint. One important aspect worth quoting here is that as per Section 36 of the Consumer Protection Act 2019, The Commission cannot reject a complaint without hearing the complaint. In the hearing, President and at least one member should be present. I hope that you remember that if the claim is up to 1 crore or less than that, then only the complaint can file in case with the District Commission. A consumer can file a written complaint sent by a registered post to the District Commissioner or in an electronic form. The first step before filing a consumer complaint is to determine the territorial and pecuniary jurisdiction of the complaint. That meaning where to file the complaint and what is the claim amount. That is, whether the complaint is to be registered with the district, state or national commission based on the claim demanded. You remember the limits of pecuniary jurisdiction. That meaning the limits, right? I have explained in the last video lesson. A consumer complaint can be filed in the district forum if the claims for goods and services does not exceed rupees 1 crore. For claims where the value of goods and services is between rupees 1 crore to 10 crore, the complaint can be filed in the state commission. Whereas, if the value of goods and services exceeds rupees 10 crore, a consumer complaint can be filed in the national commission. The next step requires serving a legal or personal notice to the opposite party. After this, a complainant can file a complaint in the respective consumer redressal forum. As per the Consumer Protection 22nd Amendment Rules 2018, the fee structure for filing a consumer complaint has been revised as per the following. First is cases for value up to 5 lakh. No fees is required. Second, cases of the value of rupees 5 lakh to 10 lakh, rupees 200. Third, cases of value exceeding rupees 10 lakh, rupees 400. A complainant is not required to pay any fees for filing an appeal in the state commission or national commission. Now, let us discuss the process to file a consumer complaint in the district forum. A consumer complaint shall be made in writing to a district forum. The complaint can be written on a plain paper and filed by the consumer himself or through an authorized agent. The complaint should be notarized through a registered or regular post. It should be filed within 2 years of the date on which the dispute happened. The complainant is required to file 4 copies of the complaint and additional copies for each opposite party. The consumer complainant shall include the details of the complainant and the opposite party along with the particulars of the dispute and the relief sought or the claim asked for. Also, copies of relevant documents required to prove the claim mentioned in the complaint. This shall be attached with the complaint. Next thing is, it is not necessary to approach an advocate to file a consumer complaint. This is an added attraction of the new Consumer Protection Act. That is, consumers themselves can file the case. They do not have to come through a lawyer. This will reduce the legal expenses, and the central government believes that it will bring more consumers to raise their complaints. The next thing you have to remember, the fees shall be paid as demand draft to the President, Consumer Disputes Redressal Forum. You have to specify the name, that is whether it's district, state or national. Now let us see what all the details to be included in the complaint to be filed with the Consumer Commission. The same procedures are followed for state, district and national commissions. A consumer complaint shall consist of the following details. First is name and address of the complainant and the opposite party. Second, the date on which the goods were purchased or services availed, with the details of such goods and services and the amount paid for the same. Third, the subject of the complaint, whether it was an unfair trade practice, supply of defective goods, or deficiency in services provided. Fourth, the bills and receipts of the concerned product or service are to be provided as proof. The relief to be sought under the Act. The next thing is signature of the complainant or his authorized agent. As already mentioned, the procedure for filing a consumer complaint is similar for all the district forums, state commissions and national commissions. So we are not discussing it again. Now we will discuss about the provision for appeals. One can also file an appeal in the state commission against the order of the district forum within a period of 45 days from the date of order from the district commission. The application shall accompany the requisite fees in the form of demand draft payable to the registrar. You have to specify the name of the commission, whether it is state commission or national commission. That is, whichever, or if you are applying to a state commission, whichever state or the respective state you have to specify. Opposite parties or the appellant is required to pay a statutory deposit of Rs 25,000 or 50% of the amount claimed, whichever is less. A consumer aggrieved by the order of the state commission can also file an appeal in the national commission. The appeal should be filed within 30 days from the date of the order passed by the state commission. The fees for approaching National Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission is Rs 5,000, which is also payable as demand draft in the name of the registrar, National Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission. An appeal against the order of the National Commission can be filed in the Supreme Court within 1 month from the date of order passed by the National Commission. A consumer can file a complaint with the Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission either offline or online mode. A consumer complaint can be filed online by registering on the website of the National Consumer Helpline. Complainant will be provided with a unique identification number after registering the complaint. With the help of this unique identification number, the consumer can track the status of his complaint. The required fees for the consumer complaint can be paid through an online payment gateway. Like net banking, mobile apps like GPay or PhonePe can be used for payment. Now, let us compare the second objective of this video lesson, that is to compare the Consumer Protection Act 1986 with the Consumer Protection Act 2019. We can distinguish both the acts with 12 differences. Let us understand the differences one by one. The first distinction is based on the ambit of law. In the old Act, all goods and services for consideration, while free and personal services are excluded. Whereas in the new Act, all goods and services, including telecom and housing construction and all modes of transactions, online, teleshopping, etc. for consideration are included under the preview of the Act. Free and personal services are excluded. The second distinction is about the unfair trade practices. The old Act includes 6 types of such practices like false representation, misleading advertisements, whereas the new Act adds 3 types of practices to the list, namely failure to issue a bill or receipt, refusal to accept a good returned within 30 days, and disclosure of personal information given in confidence, unless required by law or in public interest. Contests, lotteries may be notified as not falling under the ambit of unfair trade practices. This is an important point you have to remember. The third distinction is about the product liability. As per the old Act, there is no provision or product liability. But as per the new Act, claim for product liability can be made against manufacturer, service provider and seller. Compensation can be obtained by proving one of the several specified conditions in the new Act. The fourth distinction is about unfair contracts. As per the old Act, there is no provision for unfair contracts, but the new Act defines unfair contracts as contracts that cause significant change in consumer rights. Also lists 6 contract terms which may be held as unfair. The fifth distinction is about Central Protection Council. As per the old Act, Central Protection Council or CPCs, that is the short form, promote and protect the rights of consumers. They are established at the district, state and national level. But the new Act makes Central Protection Councils as advisory bodies for promotion and protection of consumer rights. The Commission established the Central Protection Councils at the district, state and national level. The sixth distinction is about the regulator. In the old Act, there is no provision for a regulator, but the new Act establishes the Central Consumer Protection Authority to promote, protect and enforce the rights of consumers as a class. The Central Consumer Protection Authority may issue safety notices, pass orders to recall goods, prevent unfair practices, and reimburse purchase price paid, and impose penalties for false and misleading advertisements. The seventh distinction is pecuniary jurisdiction of the 3 commissions. As per the old Act, the claim limits were fixed at district level up to rupees 20 lakh, at state level between rupees 20 lakh and it can go up to rupees 1 crore. At the national level, claims above rupees 1 crore were entertained or were filed. These were the limits fixed, but as per the new Act, the claim limits increased to district level as up to claims up to rupees 1 crore, at state level between 1 crore and up to rupees 10 crore, and at the national level claims above rupees 10 crore. The eighth distinction is about composition of commissions. As per the old Act, district commission is headed by current or former district judge and 2 members. State commission is headed by a current or former high court judge and at least 2 members. National commission is headed by a current or former Supreme Court judge and at least 4 members. But as per the new Act, district commission is headed by a president and at least 2 members. State commission is headed by a president and at least 4 members. National commission is headed by a president and at least 4 members. The ninth distinction is about appointment and selection of members to the commission. As per the old Act, selection committee comprising of a judicial member and other officials will recommend members for the commissions. But as per the new Act, new provision for selection of committee or recommending members for the committee. The central government will appoint members through notification as per the new Act. So there is a lot of difference. One is recommended and one is selection through notification. The 10th distinction is about alternate dispute redressal mechanism. There is no provision for alternate dispute redressal mechanism in the old Act. But as per the new Act, mediation cells will be attached to the district, state and national commissions. The 11th distinction is about penalties. As per the old Act, if a person does not comply with orders of the commissions, he may face imprisonment between 1 month and 3 years or fine up between rupees 2,000 to rupees 10,000 or both. But as per the new Act, if a person does not comply with the orders of the commissions, he may face imprisonment up to 3 years or a fine not less than rupees 25,000, which can be extended to rupees 1 lakh or both. That means imprisonment and the fine. The 12th and the last distinction is about e-commerce. As per the old Act, there is no provision to file complaints online. But the new Act defines direct selling, e-commerce and electronic service provider in the Act. The central government may prescribe rules for preventing unfair trade practices in e-commerce and direct selling. Thus, the new Act has wide scope for e-commerce in its operation. And that is the need of the hour. We know that. Thus, we can see that there are tremendous changes in the Consumer Protection Act from old Act to the new Act. The Consumer Protection Act 2019 is the new amendment of the Consumer Protection Act 1986. There are several changes made in the new Act and more amendments are in favor of the consumers or the consumer groups. Also added consumer-friendly services like e-filing of disputes and raising of pecuniary jurisdiction of the district, national and state commissions. Also added consumer-friendly services like e-filing of disputes and raising the pecuniary jurisdiction, that is the claims we can file with the respective commission of district, state and national commissions. So you know that district claims is raised to rupees 1 crore and the state up to 10 crore and national about 10 crore. The Consumer Protection Act 2019 covers many new grounds and revise the consumer protection agenda to keep pace with the melodramatic changes that have taken place in the last 3 decades. The new Act does so by recognizing those engaged in offline as well as online multi-level transactions. This aims to protect those rendered vulnerable in the wake of rapidly developing digital technology. Under the new notified provisions, a consumer can now file a complaint from her place of residence or workplace or anywhere in the world 24/7, 365 days. This comes as a significant change from the earlier version of the Act, under which a complaint could be initiated only in the place where the transaction took place or dispute happened. Our learning wouldn't be complete if we don't assess what we have learned. So here I am giving one activity for you. Give 5 reasons to establish the fact that new Consumer Protection Act 2019 is more beneficial to the consumers. Now that we have reached the end of this lesson, I hope that you have learned the consumer redressal mechanism and the distinction between the old and new Consumer Protection Acts. I hope that you got a good insight on the topics we discussed in this video lesson. To conclude, we have covered the consumer redressal mechanism and the distinction between old and the new Consumer Protection Acts, that is 1986 and 2019. In the next video lesson, we will learn about the fourth and last module of this unit, that is Central Consumer Protection Authority, or commonly called as CCPA, and the advantages and limitations of the Consumer Protection Act 2019. Until we meet again, bye, thank you.